Welcome to this series where we are going to be playing realistic mode in Workers and Resources Soviet Republic. Before we get started, apology for the delay in starting this series. The reason is that when I put in the comment about it'd only be a few days at the end of my campaign series, I didn't realise that the Easter weekend was coming, and that completely bombed out any effort to start a new series because there was just too many distractions. We had house guests. Now, what I'm going to do is talk about the objectives of the series as we put things together. So we might as well just jump straight into custom game. And here is the map we're going to be playing on. In here, it's called Unification 1960 Final. It is a custom map that I've created, and I'll give you some backstory for it. Originally, it started out as a 1900 start for when the game was going to be fully released. Then the previous series finished a bit more unexpectedly, and somebody posted a comment and saying that I spend a lot of time playing around with mods. In fact, I was addicted to mods, and they said what I should do is actually play a vanilla series, and that got me thinking. So what I've done is I've converted this map to a 1960 start with a little bit of a theme based on another comment somebody posted a couple of months ago, which I will talk about more once we actually get on the map. But if you want to play along or you want to play your own game on this map, it will be available in the workshop. It's called Unification 1960 Start. So that is the only difference between the map I'll be playing on and the one that's in the workshop. If it doesn't make any difference, we'll just get straight in. We are going to be playing on realistic mode, as you see here, with one exception. That is, we are going to be playing with medium money. The reason for that is that it is a vanilla start. Now, I'm not saying that it's impossible to actually start on realistic mode with hard money. The main reason I want to go with medium money is that I don't want to spend 30 parts building the first town, because I'm very much aware that we are against a deadline, because I've got a feeling that the full release of this game is going to hit fairly soon. I would like to make as much progress in this series as possible. And that's the reason why I want that extra bit of cash, so I can be a little bit more energetic in putting the first town together and expanding. For anyone who's new to the game or is unfamiliar with these settings, the overall difficulty across the top, it's called overall difficulty, but truthfully, what it does is it presets all these ones below. Now, if you are completely new to the game, what I would suggest is starting on medium and customizing what you actually want. Playing on easy just gets you into bad habits. I'll be completely upfront. Very easy, that's good if you just want to mess around. But medium is a good start, and what you can do is say, right, I want, and if you just want to learn the game, you can go say play medium, click unlimited, so you've got no cash, or easy, you got 10 million start. So you can play around with all these settings whatsoever. So then that's the reason why. Now, realistic is the hardest level for reasons I'll explain as I go through these settings. But as I say, I do want to start with a bit more cash. I mean, you could play realistic unlimited if you wanted to. Bit crazy, or even easy. So again, if you've been playing the game for a little while and you want to go up to realistic mode, what I would suggest is your first playthrough, select easy money. It will give you 10 million rubles so that you can actually correct the mistakes. So let's just get through the other settings. Unsatisfied citizens reaction. When you play on hard, it means that you don't get away with very much. You've really got to work hard to keep your citizens happy. If you can make a mistake, say like there's food shortages or the heating goes off or there's a power cut, you pay the price very quickly and you can very quickly get into a death wave. Energy management is the basics of the game. And again, returning to, if you're new and you've just done the tutorials, I would strongly recommend that you play with buildings and vehicles, because what it means is you're going to provide power and fuel to power to buildings, for fuel to vehicles. Water management, it's an interesting mechanic, but it's something you can learn because it's a fairly static one. If you got it right, it works. If you got it wrong, you have problems as soon as you build it. Waste management is something else. Now, I would say that don't play on waste management, and especially demolition, until you've got a very thorough grounding in the game. What the difference between this one and this one is that where it says demolish here, it says here that if you want to remove a building, or if a building burns down, you have to clear the site with a demolition team. You just can't click on it and say go away. Now the next one is maintenance. Now this again is an advanced mechanic. It's a little not so aggressive as waste management, but it's a type of a mechanic that will sneak up on you. When you first start out, you can ignore it, but you ignore it at your peril, because eventually your vehicles will start breaking down, and more importantly, your buildings will start collapsing. Next one down is summer and winter. Again, if you're starting out new, once you've done the basic tutorials, I would strongly recommend that you always play with seasons enabled. What this means is you get a winter cycle and you get snow, so you've got to plow your roads in order to keep the road speeds up. But more importantly, with respect to farming, you only get one crop per year. And again, playing without this on just gets you into some bad habits which will be difficult to break. It's far easier just to go in and get your annual crop. I've also found that you seem to get more from your fields when you've got these seasons rather than playing without. Building fires, it's just a matter of choice. To be honest, I always play on frequent. I've never really had any major problems as long as the fire coverage is done. It's just basically, if you've got frequent, the game will remind you that when you forgot your fire connections. Global events, it says serious here. Now, global events at the moment in the game are quite passive. Don't be frightened of them. In fact, I would go as far as saying, even if you're completely new, play on global events normal. It says epidemics, market prices. As long as your economy is in good condition, you won't notice them. But if you play on serious, you've got the risk of earthquakes. Now, I'll be completely upfront. I've only had 2 earthquakes so far, and I haven't actually really had a problem with them. But but that's not to say that it may give us a bit of a headache in realistic mode, which is the one mode that I haven't experienced an earthquake in. Now, the next one, pollution, is, again, it's a very passive mechanic. As long as you get your distances right so that you don't put residential next to polluting buildings, it's not too bad. You can play with pollution enabled. Education simulation, again, if you're completely new to the game, I strongly recommend that you always play with complex education, even if you're not playing with research, because it's such a easy mechanic to get your head around. Crime and justice is, well, how could I explain it? Crime and justice has its oddities, and it can prove a challenge if you're a new player. And it even catches out, I'll be honest, it even catches me out from time to time, because it's a lot of what goes on with crime and injustice is behind the platform. So you've got to get a feel for how it works. Again, traffic simulation, I would always strongly recommend playing on complex, because what it means is it gives you access to more signs, which gives you more options to actually regulate your traffic. If you're new to the game, research, it's not that big a problem. It just means that you've got to think a little bit more about what you're doing. Now, night and day, I'm going to be playing on moving sun, because I think it was Vimes who pointed out that there are differences in power between night and day and weather. I think also that if you're going to use renewable energy in the form of wind farms, I think having the weather cycle and the moving sun makes a difference to the efficiency. I've used wind turbines without the day-night cycle on, and I found that they tend to be a little bit unreliable. The only condition I will say is that during the first, say, 6 months to the year of the game, I may switch this off, because we've got to do a lot of planning, and planning in the dark can be a real pain in the neck. So I may switch this off temporarily during the initial planning stage. Vehicle availability, we're going to play with lock start according to year. I find because I've got so many modded vehicles, having this and actually does things. But never expire. I think what I am going to do is I'm going to play lock according to year, actually. So the vehicles available from the year when they've been introduced and expire after the year their production is ended. The reason for that, as I was just previously explaining, is I've got lots of modded vehicles. Now, I don't want to play with the modded vehicles, but what I want to do is see what vehicles are available in vanilla. And I think this is going to be like a super filter for me, taking out lots and lots of other vehicles which would be around, which can get a little bit annoying. So we're going to start in 1960. I find 1960 is a good start, although 1970 can be a fun start as well. So I think what we're going to do now is just hit the button and get into the game. before we get into doing any detailed planning, I just want to talk about two things. The first thing is a very brief overview of the map. Now, if you want more detail, there will be a separate overview video which will be released at the same time as this video, because that is going to be attached to the map as in the Steam Workshop. And the other thing I want to talk about is some of the principles and guidelines that we're going to be using for the overall strategy of what we're going to be trying to accomplish. So I might as well open the map just to give you an overview of what it looks like. And you can see here it's got this central lake running diagonally across the map with an entrance or exit down in the bottom right hand corner. There is a bridge across there, and we got this substantial delta off in towards the left hand side of the map. Just give you a quick overview of it. There are also bridges over some of the entrances here. Now that shouldn't prove a problem, except for the fact we are playing realistic mode, which means these bridges have to be physically deconstructed. But you can see the main channel here is open, and down the end here you can see on the map itself there is exits for both the Soviet and the NATO bloc. In fact, I think the one that's probably the best channel is this one, which is kind of shared 50-50 between the two of them. So the possibility for exports using ships is out towards that side of the map for both factions. Now, I suppose I'd better give you a little bit of an explanation why the map looks like it does. Now, the backstory for this map, and this was originally meant for my 1900 start, is that you've got a poor Soviet Republic up in the top left-hand corner, and it is resource poor, and I'll explain a bit more about resources in a minute. And what you've got here on the rest of the map is a resource-rich NATO area, which the Soviets want to exploit, and that is the challenge. Now, the actual logic behind this comes from a comment that I received several months ago, where someone said, "Would there ever be warfare in the game?" And the answer to that is no. Although, if any of you have been monitoring YouTube since the 1st of April, you'll find that there was quite a good 1st of April DLC announcement for Workers and Resources. And while, yes, it was a bit beyond the fringe, there were some very interesting concepts in there related to scenarios, because they were saying that there'd be events which could cut off your exterior supplies because of increasing tensions. So while, yes, it was an April Fool's spoof, but at the same time, I think there's definitely some materials in there for a scenario gameplay. Anyway, the comment I got was about whether there'd be warfare, and I thought about it after I finished, because the true warfare will never be part of a city building game, because that's really strategies. It did occur to me that there is what you could call a game objective, like capture the flag, although it isn't really capture the flag because you're not actually fighting against anyone as well. And so what I did was I put this cathedral down here, and the idea is that if someone who's looking for an objective of conquering this NATO province, is the fact that if you build a town around here, you can say you've successfully occupied the NATO area. Now, but the real significance of the borders is the division of resources. In the Soviet area, there is only a small deposit of coal and iron. Now, it's been a couple of months since I actually developed this map. It's been effectively sat around doing nothing for that period of time. And I can't remember where all the resources actually are, but I think based on the thought process of when I was doing it for a 1900, the iron and ore is somewhere around these two spurs of rock that stick out in this area, because this little enclave originally was where the 1900 start was going to be. The only other hint I can give you about resources is that there's a lot of oil in this delta, but beyond that, all I can say is there are good deposits on the map. Where exactly they are, I'm not exactly too sure. So that's the best hint I can give you with respect to resources. So the restricted resources in the Soviet area is intended to push players across this hypothetical border here to be able to start gathering resources in the NATO area. Now, I will give you a quick look at the borders, because they do require a certain degree of strategy. Now, one thing I will point out before any of you guys spot it, you'll see this border is back to front. But if I actually draw up this, it's the right way round with respect to the actual game in minimap, and the map I actually created in the workshop had them the right way round. But for some reason, when I uploaded it into Steam and loaded it through Steam, the nation flags got swapped, and I've tried several goes at trying to fix it, but it just doesn't want to fix. Anyway, so what we've got is we've got a border coming out from the left hand side of the map, and you can see it prevents any crossings, but there are a couple of mud roads across here where vehicles will be able to cross as long as you don't accidentally delete these roads. And there's also a NATO custom post up here on this island, and what that's got is another mud road going round and quite a long circuitous trip round here. And these mud roads are intended to represent smuggling routes for Soviet colonists who want to sneak across the border and steal the NATO resources. As I say, this is a small customs house. It's really just there to provide a little bit of texture to the story, but given the fact that the 1960 start in this area, it does provide the possibility of getting access to NATO vehicles. But before we come back and talk about the actual starting, the 1960 starting area, which is here, we're just going to go up and look at another start, which if you're looking for a bit of a challenge, and I must admit I am tempted, very, very tempted to start up here. But the trouble is that the series is meant to be all about vanilla buildings, and there is no power connection up here. So the option would be to build a coal-fired power station. Interesting. Let me just look at this. What would it take to build a coal-fired power station? Take a lot of steel, and there's no small version of it. Now, as I said in the intro, I'm not sticking strictly to vanilla buildings. I suppose I could put a what we call it turbine in here and get this done. I must admit I am wavering a bit, because this one here, if I turn off this, is a more substantial border crossing. This is the official border crossing. What you've got here is a medium Soviet customs office on this side and a medium customs office for NATO on the other side. Then you've got this gap in the border, which is the only point along this entire border along here where you've got the ability to build into NATO. So this is quite a key crossing point, and I've emphasized this by putting the rail tracks and roads in here as well. So, and of course, there are no illegal crossings up here. So everything you do in this area is kind of legal expansion into the NATO territory. So there is a little bit of a head start if you can get over the technicalities of this area. I must admit, I am very tempted, very, very tempted to start here. But of course, there is no external power. Anyway, I think before I make a final decision, I think what we will do is go and take a look at this area here. This is the 1960 start. You got a large customs house here. Of course, it's Soviet, and we've also got external power, which we could set to while we're thinking about it. So we got here, and of course I know for a fact that yes, so there's oil in the delta, but you've got to get to it. But there's no other resources in this area, though the spur isn't that far away. What's the terrain like here? It's a bit slopey dopey, isn't it? I'm kind of thinking. No, I want to stay true to the actual, what I said is that we're going to be playing with vanilla buildings. So I think we will start here and then see if we can expand as quickly as possible up to checkpoint Charlie. So that is, so yeah, we're probably going to build in this area. It's going to be, with the slope, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge. I mean, it wouldn't be a challenge with mods, but with the bigger vanilla buildings, although there are a lot more smaller options. So maybe there is. Yeah, we will do the 1960 start. I don't want to get, because I know the problem is if I start using mods, I won't be able. I'll forget, and then I'll be using mods all the time. So that's a general overview of the map. The one thing I will say to finish off this section is that one of the reasons for creating this map originally was the ships and aircraft can cross the border, and the idea is to give a reason to use shipping and aircraft to move goods around the map. So that was the kind of initial driver for this map. Not so much land exploration with rail, but actually using ships and aircraft. So that is something that I think I would like to explore. Now, before we get into designing, I just want to mention one thing, is the fact that, this is not strictly going to be a tutorial series. What I do want to do, though, is give you could say, some tips and hints and guides on anybody who wants to play realistic mode for the first time. So during this initial period, what I'll be doing is probably spending a little bit more time explaining my thought process of what we're going to do, because when you play realistic mode, you've really got to think about your first settlement, how it's going to work, and in both in the short term and in the long term. So that's something that I do want to kind of think about. And I think that's about it, guys. We're just going to get down to some design work, and give you forewarned that virtually all this part will be design, because we need to get it right. And the first thing I'm actually going to do is start by getting rid of these roads here, or this road here. Oops, because I don't like it. We'll probably keep the F1 on, get rid of that. And I think to start with, we're going to build a road out of here. Of course, the custom shed doesn't line up with if we press F1, F2, come out like that, and then what I'm going to do is we're going to do most of the design with mud roads. I know there's a template mode, but when I'm in this type of mode, when I'm doing the initial layout, I do like to go, why wasn't that built? What happened there? It's a bit weird. That's better. So what I want to do is get a main road out of here, but that's not going to be the main road. The actual main road is going to come out like that on each side. But what I want to do is I need to think of a little bit about, I think what I want to do is come out about 800 meters. Actually, how far away is the coast? Because we've got to put in sanitation drainage. So how far, where is the nearest point to here? Oh, we got, this is 2,400. This is 2,258. This is 2,000. So there's a little bit of a dip here. So I think we're going to do something a bit odd. Is I'm going to put the sewage discharge in first. Ideally, I would like it to turn green, but it won't. So put you there. Make sure I can get a footpath out of here. Yeah, we can get out of there. You've got to remember is this building will require maintenance just as much as any other building. So we got a road coming out here, and we got 2,400. Now I want plenty of space here because the railway is on the wrong side, and there's not much point sending the railway that way because we can't get across the border. So we're gonna have to find some way to get the railway up in that direction so that it connects with probably another town that would be up here. And more importantly, we need to get it in the direction of Checkpoint Charlie so that we got an export route. I think we got that there. I think I'd like to come out about 800 meters this way. We'll start from the front of the shed. We're going to come out about 800. What's it? doesn't have to be precise. 804 will do. Because I want to, and I just want to put a cross there. Right, cancel that. Now, I like this road coming here. So if we say that this is the main road coming down through here, going to the border. In fact, I think I'm going to get rid of this road as well. I think we're just going to completely redesign this area here. Cancel that. We've got the border crossing there. We've got this road coming down here. Let me just see, what's the terrain like? The terrain here is a bit steep. It's a little bit flatter over here. And that will take us a little bit closer. So if we've got that road there, we could probably put the town in here. I'm trying to see if I can make life a little bit easy for myself, because leveling can be an issue earlier on in the game. I think what we will do is, just for planning purposes, we're going to take you forward to about there, and then what we'll create is a kind of a, I mean, this is already being kind of sectioned up, so we're kind of put that road back into there. And then what we could do, if necessary, is strike off another road here like that and create a wild junction. Actually, for the fun of it, what I'm going to do is totally impractical, but I quite like that. So we've now got this, and I put this area in here. Now what we're going to do is delete this out here, take that away, take that away, get rid of that. How was it? I want to go out about 50 meters. That's what I want to do, is put a roundabout here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if we put a short length of road there, and then I want a fairly chunky roundabout here, because this is going to be, you could say, the core of my highway system. Right, so we've got to come out to that road there. Now the fun starts. I think what we need to do is take off all the snapping to do this. There's a bit of road in the center there at the moment that's causing a problem. Now I'm going to have to put that back in so I can see the road line. Now, the road length, ignore completely. What you're looking for is the distance between where he started to the crossing point in the center of the roundabout. And then what we're looking is to come round that it says 90 degrees. And then we can then do it virtually exactly the same again. And you can see this one's actually dropped down very slightly like that. Then what we're going to do is come up here and just trim that back a bit. And then we should be able to get a pretty close approximation to a circle there. And then, right, so we got that road there. We got that center road there. I'm just going to put a, okay, we got a road coming out there. We got that there, which we need to remove. We should be able to, why can't I get rid of that? Oh, I think it's gone because I put another point there. Let me just see. That's annoying. I don't want a bridge. Where did that come from? What? Right, we're going to have to put you about there. Why is that stuck? Well, we can always do that and redo it. Why is the game insisting on that? Okay, we can fix that. don't worry about it, because we're going to be putting roads in here. And what I want to do now is we're going to put pick this road up, come out, and we're going to stop that distance away from there. Now what I'm doing here is actually building a dual carriageway, but what you can do, if I press F4 and do this, you can put a road in like that, and then you can get another road right alongside. Now this works if you're building a highway, but I wouldn't recommend that for the road coming out of your custom shed. The reason being is that, well, if I remove this center road now, get rid of that, take that out. What you need is, when we're going to be building crossing junctions here, and by having the roads separated, you get something for it. Just again, just to show you, if you put two roads side by side, if you connect them like this, it can be, if we connect them like this, you get a very short length, which can cause traffic problems. Where if we need to plan this area here. Now another tip is that this border crossing is going to get very busy, so you don't want to put a junction here. In fact, you want the absolute minimum of junctions along this section of road, because every time you put in a traffic node like this, when a vehicle comes along here and approaches a node, they will slow down to establish whether they've got right of way or whether there's any traffic. So what can happen is that you can have the really fast vehicles, but because when there's lots of junctions for them to negotiate, they never ever get to top speed. So you're really wasting the effort. I mean, you can overcome it by using the priority signals here, but of course those priority signals are really only associated with asphalt roads. Anyway, I'm getting a bit sidetracked here. Let me just see. I want to come out about 150, so if we come to about there, maybe that's a little bit too far. I'm just going to put a connection in there, and then we're going to put road out that way and a road out that way. And what I'm going to do now is put another parallel road. Oops. Okay, that's going to give me a little bit. Oh well, we can live with it. And because this is effectively a temporary road, it may disappear later on. We come here, we're going to put a road connection across there, and we'll most likely put a road down there. This is going to be our first utility road. By putting these on here, I can pack, well, I'll just put them in place just to show. We've got to do it anyway. First things first is I want a distribution office, a free one. Free distribution offices are a bit hidden because they're not researched. So you've got to kind of click on the one that's not intuitive and then select the free one. We're going to put you there. And then, of course, what we're going to need is a free gas station. Where is it? Where's the free one? I must admit, I'm not the greatest of fans for these free buildings, but they do have their uses, especially when you're expanding, because the free gas station doesn't need power, so you don't have to run power grids. That always used to annoy me when I was expanding in the past. And more importantly, these don't suffer from maintenance problems. And actually, while I'm thinking about it, I'm just going to put the connection in there, load, and because what we're going to need is to put an oil tanker in there. Anyway, I've got a bit distracted. Oops, the game's been running as well, which it shouldn't have been doing, which is a bit annoying because it's going to... Okay, I think this has got a little bit unbalanced, so we'll just trim this back and then we'll come to there. And actually, maybe we can go forward 2 more. Apologies that it's getting dark. That gives us a road connection there. Now, this road going out here is going to be our highway going north. So I'm going to do exactly the same as I got with this one. The difference with this one is that it will be a proper highway eventually, because it's going to need to take traffic and other stuff north. And your job is going to be to connect to there and connect to there, because of course we are using right-hand traffic. Take that out of the center. Actually, that's a bit wrong. Sorry about this. Because I did say it was a highway, didn't I? Okay, we're going to come here. Actually, it's completely wrong. Yeah. I built the wrong road. That's the road there. I'll press that off there. I'm going to run the highway up there. And that's better, because they're going to be closer together. And just put those there. I'm really annoyed with that crossing point thingy there. What is that thing? It is that there. I'll take you out. It's just annoying the heck out of me. Right, we're going to give it a straightish road there, but I can live with that. So what we got now, this is going to be our highway running north. And what we've got here is our road there. And if I press F2. Now, I don't want the town centre on here, because another mistake many players make is they put a main road down and then they build the town around the centre of the main road. I want this road to go to the border. So what I want to do is split the difference between these two junctions, although we can move this junction if necessary. What's the distance between these two junctions? It's about, you can say, ground distance, say 1600, be generous. If we don't like that. I suppose I could live with it. We come up. Oh God, it's giving me that's a bit better. It's 700. So we want to come up to about. I think actually I like this actually. I think we're going to go off here. No, I don't know why I'm measuring that actually. What we're going to do is run road through there. What I'm looking for, right, we got a pretty good road through here. It's fairly flat. We got power supply there, so it doesn't have to be kind of exactly aligned, but I think we can get that road out there. That road there, and a highway can come. Well, we could put another small roundabout here, but I don't really want to. I just want to keep this as an open option, possibly for a bridge that will come up into this area. So we got no. I feel this is a bit confining. I think we're going to go a little bit further. Let's go this way. I think we're going to come out about there for our town centre. We'll leave this road in possibly as a service road, but what we could do is push it up closer to there. But the trouble then is it'd be too close to this roundabout. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to take this out like that. And then what we'll do is we'll move it over, say that far. And you're going to come to there. And then we'll take out this road here. So what we could have is a service road here, which will then go into this area here, which will then lead into this area. Now, I am a bit concerned about the distance that we've got to bring trucks out here. So we're going to have to try and the vehicles that need to do delivery, i.e. food and clothes, need to be on this side of the map so they can come in through that area there. In fact, they don't necessarily have to be in the area there. Okay, what's the... Yeah, this is pretty flat, so... Oops, no, it's not. We got that there. Don't like that. Okay. Decision, road move, mark, wherever it is. I'm going to put... Actually, we're going to put the town crossroads here, actually. Take out you. What I'm looking for is a bit of flat area to put the initial town centre in, because I don't really want ridge lines around the town area, and that's probably the flattest. Got a bit of a problem there, but we can deal with that with smaller buildings. Yeah, I think this will work. So what we need to do now is start planning our town centre. I could put a small roundabout in here, but it's a curiosity. No, to make the roundabout, we'd have to strike off and then come round here. We could create a diagonal, but I don't think that's going to be worth the effort. Right, so what we got to put in here is the key services. And by key services, that's not just the surface services, but the underground ones as well. So we're going to start with probably the most important building that we're going to have to put in, which is the shopping mall. I prefer a shopping mall with a fairly large town over individual stores. Actually quite like this. This one's got a lot of internal storage, which means we won't need a warehouse. In fact, if we get a bit creative, I'm just gonna, I think we're going to use the grid snapping. I can do, that comes out about there. If we can get a cargo, I must admit I've got no idea about 462. I'm a bit worried about you. Oops. Yeah, that yellow line's the one that's worrying me a bit. Normally I'd just smooth it out, but of course we can't in road. That might work. Okay. Right, we'll put the store in. Let's make sure we get the right one. What's that saying? Oh, there's a road just there. Of course, we had a couple of stabs at putting stuff in. Right, back again. Make sure we build the right one. Drop you in there. This kind of struggle is one of the reasons why I like mods, because the mods themselves, you can get really small cargo stations. Anyway, we got that in there in the end anyway. So we now got a shopping mall in, which is probably one of the more important things. I keep letting the game run. We're on the 1st of March. We're wasting time. It's not that important because we can't get a farming season in. But I just don't like the idea of letting the game run. Now the next thing we need, which is probably a very useful building, is a hospital. I'd like it, if possible, to line up with there. I'd like it to come in a bit closer, but I think I'm gonna, I think if we actually, I'm gonna put the hospital there with some space around it for a reason which will become apparent. Now the next thing I want to put in is a university, but we're going to put the headquarters of the Communist Party in, the small one, because this thing is massive. The reason for that is that I show you in research, one thing we're going to want to unlock pretty early is here, distribution offices. And for some odd reason, the distribution offices are actually part of the Soviet headquarters research, not what you'd call the technical office. So I want to put that in, the small one in. You can kind of sneak the small one in here. Now this is only needs footpaths, so we can kind of get that. Actually, I'm going to put that a little wider as well, like that. So we've now got this here. Now I'm going to do something a little bit odd now. Normally I would put a cinema in here, but what I'm going to do is put an indoor pool. No, maybe not. I flip that, turn you that way. If I can flip that a little bit. Actually, yeah, if we put you, let me just zoom in. If we put you there, yeah, I think that will work, because what I like to do is mix the culture out a little bit. But what this does is it actually makes space for another building that we're going to have to put in, which is a heat exchanger. Now I'm going to thinking about putting the heating plant up here, because it's got to be at least 800 meters away, and by putting one of these smack in the center of the town, it's a shame we don't have underground heat exchangers. Actually no, we're going to stick to the grid. I'm going to put the heat exchanger there. I'm going to press that, so I don't want the footpaths connected yet. That will heat the whole center of the town here, because the way I like to do it is have a heat exchanger in the center, and then what we can do after that is put peripheral ones should we need them. Now the next thing we're going to need to do is put in the sewage outfall, but we're going to start by putting one in here. We've got a nice little open space here, but more importantly we've got a little bit of space next to the what we call it. Actually, I'm going to knock you down and move you out one. Let me just come in here. Of course, this is a bit of a novelty for me, because I'm used to kind of really squishing everything up as close as possible. I think if we do that, and then that means on this corner here we can put yeah, look at that. Yeah, but that might interfere with the footpath, but this one is not so important. In fact, if we could get that right in tight, because we could have a footpath along there, and then we could put you in about there. I can't build. Okay, good cheating game. Now we've got to run down to here, and again I'm just going to turn this off because we're going to need the contour map now. We've got our first pickup there. Now to try and save some money, what I'm going to do is put a didgeridoo flicker here, actually maybe a little bit further down out there. And I also want to put another one right here, there. Where did the... And I want to put another one down about here. Possibly just below this line here. Let's have 3. And then we'll run you. Why is that? There's tunnel above terrain. Right, we're going to have to do it the opposite way. Yeah, sometimes if you do a long run, it takes the straight. Whoops. What happened to the other one? Oh yeah, it's there. What am I on about? and then want to hook you to there, and we're going to hook you up to, okay, got another problem with the, yeah, and then we're going to hook you to there. Now the reason for doing that is that, one, I don't want to run great big long pipes all the way to the actual edge to there off of that, and that gives us multiple connections, because there's a chance that we're going to be building a clothing industry up here. So what we'll be doing, if I just show you the clothing industry, it's the fabric factory needs water, and if I put this out, you see it's got a sewage outfall on it. So what we're going to need to do is run down, and that's the reason why I've put that extra connector in there, so that we can run a industrial sewage line down under the city and connect to there. Now the next thing we need to decide is where we're going to put the water. Now the water purification plant needs to be within walking distance of the city. My instinct is up here. We don't need to place it just at the moment. We got water wells 94%. I mean, we could go for a big well, but that will require 7 employees. I must admit, I prefer small wells. So what we're talking about is possibly a water purification plant up here. So what we're going to need to do is, I don't want the pumping station, I want the substation. I want this substation, possibly, if I could tuck it on this corner here next to the heating plant, that would be brilliant. Generally I like to have these close to each other, but I don't necessarily have to put them side by side. So we've now got a sewage outfall, we got the water for the center. We will need to put provision in for a power substation. Now we do have this one. My instinct is we'll probably put it here, because there won't need a footpath here, because this is a cargo station. So I'm going to put this in just about here as well, because we got to bring power in from over there. So we've now got that built. What I want to do now is do some accommodation, because I want to get the core, our, what you could call our core service community in here. So what we're going to need to do is look at residentials. Now it's tempting to go for this brick block of flats because it's got 157 workers in it. But, and this is where you've got to be a bit careful now, is the fact that it's only got 68% quality of flats. Now, when you're playing on the hardest difficulties of happiness, that puts a platform in which is going to be very difficult to increase past. So what you really need is the highest possible there. So this is 110 workers with 80% there. So we're going to be using these. Yeah, quality of flats is very important when you're playing at higher levels. And what I want to do is put there. I want to leave enough. Let me just put that there. Kind of want to leave enough behind the hospital for a footpath. Let me just think, if we go there, we should have enough room for a footpath through there. Yep, it's good. And then I want to put another block of flats on the same line there. Again, I don't want to crowd them in, and then but I think no, I think we're going to get a problem with leveling here, so we're going to be a little bit careful. I think we can crowd this in a little bit here, as long as we leave enough space for a footpath round the university. So just get you there. As long as we just spent some dollars for some reason. I think this side here, This one can go. Okay, I want some up past the shopping mall, so you can go. No, we can't get it in much closer than that, fortunately. And again, we'll put another one here. Now, strictly speaking, you don't have to connect the roads up on these buildings, but I would strongly recommend that you do, simply because when it comes to getting your fire trucks out, it can make quite a big difference. And right, we're simply going to have water up this way, so too close to an existing building. Okay. I think we're just going to put you there. And then I think we got a road there. So rather than block it out completely, I think what we'll do here is put one across the angle like that. You can see, because I've placed the power, water and heating and sewage, I can plan these buildings by ensuring that we actually get a kind of a control. I think we can, I think maybe you can get there. I think we can squeeze the, I think that's the sports hall, isn't it? The indoor pool, isn't it? So we can just get you there. And then we'll put another building, another one just in there, just snap you. Use the snapping for this one. And then I think if I put one that way round, let me just see. Oops. Again, I want reasonable spaces between them. I think this time we'll change the pattern again by doing something like that. As long as I can get a footpath through here. There's a little bit of possible issues here. Just press that off. Yeah, we can get a footpath through there. And that means we can connect up this road here. We're going to go to gravel now. We're going to connect you up with that there. Going to extend this road out here. And then you've got a road connection there. And we're just going to run a road out there. And run a road across like that. And then of course eventually this will connect to there. In fact, we'll do that, accept that. In fact, I'm going to remove these and put mud road in across there. Hook you up like that. We'll work on the possibility of connecting these up from there. Then we're going to need to put a mud road through to there. Put you across like that. Create a kind of a road through here. I think you can run a relative. Whoops. Don't want that there. And come back. And you can come to there. And we kind of left an open space here. I think this might be a good location for some education, actually. Let me just see. Because of course we've got to put a kindergarten in. On a fair, how big's your? Oh, that's quite neat, actually. What's the next one up? 120, 180, 270. I must admit, I'm always torn between. I think maybe we're major kindergarten in there. That should reach all the buildings here. We'll take this road out. Here. Then we'll put a school What we got here? 300. I put the school there. Again, what we really need is to squish this in. As long as we can get a footpath through that, in that gap there. Just want to check. Yep, look at that, great. That means we can slip the road up the back of here because that's not quite so important. And then we can slip the road across to there. That still leaves a little bit of space here for something else should we need it. In fact, we could probably put in some culture there. So we could create this as a cultural centre. Well, how big's the culture? I want the police station. Where's the culture? Come on, there's got to be some culture in here somewhere. Republic Theatre, Gallery of Art. Ooh, that could be quite nice. See, the thing about the Gallery of Art, it not only just gives culture, it also gives kind of general happiness, in the same way as a resort building does, and that can have an effect on religion here. So kind of culture replaces religion, if that makes sense. So what we could do, that's way too big. I think I'm a bit inclined to put the Gallery of Art just in there. I mean, it might not reach some of these outer lying buildings, but when it comes to education and culture, I kind of tend to like to have them round the outside. Now comes a little bit of a thorny issue, which is, in fact, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a road out to here. Remove F1. Now we got to provide fire coverage, and what I like to do is have the fire station, which will provide coverage for here, but will also provide coverage over here. And I tend to like to put the fire station kind of on the outskirts of town. So if we, I mean, wow, we got a small one. Wow, we got different sizes now. I think, wow, that's massive. That's probably a bit over the top, actually. I think I'd rather stick with the one that you normally get. We're probably gonna have to have power out in it anyway for water. So if I put you here, you're still in range of sewage, but you're not in range of water. That could be an issue, because when you place these buildings that say that they may have water connection requirements for water or for sewage, don't give them one and not the other. What you want to do is either give them both or go so far away. Actually, that's heat, isn't it? Not water. What am I on about? Yeah, sorry. I'm talking rubbish. What you want to do is make sure if you're going to not provide them with drinking water, what you want to do is actually put it so far away. But heating is useful. That's it, yeah. Because when you don't provide drinking water to fire stations and industry, there is a little bit drop in productivity, but generally it doesn't actually work. But there is a way round that, which you could do, and which is kind of leads into a little bit with respect to what I've done up here. If we come to here, you could put a sewage unloading station in here, and then connect it to the sewer. So that means that buildings that aren't serviced with direct drinking water and sewage will be serviced by trucks. So that's another option they can do. Now, I'm aware that I'm starting to run overly long on this video, so I think what I'm going to do is we're just going to sort out the water supply, and I think we're going to put the water supply up here. We're going to start with the water treatment plant. That's a little bit too far away. When it comes to water treatment, I always liked to be able to know that my residents can walk to it. I don't like relying on sending buses to water treatment plants. Water is far too important to not do that. So I think if I put the water treatment plant just in there. Water treatment plants don't actually generate any pollution, so it's not like it's going to go there. We'll start with a small well, which means we can push it out this far. In fact, what I'm going to do is I think we'll put a small well there so the pipes are facing in the right direction. Then we can always layer out another one behind it. In fact, we can get relatively close to... No, I want to leave enough... Let me just... Sorry. I wasn't planning on doing this, but I think I'm going to press F4. When that happens, it means that F4 is getting in the way. It's generally, if you go down there, if you press E twice, that's normally high enough. Let me just get that down to absolute ground level. It could be the fact that the terrain here is messing up the bridge. Yeah, I think there's a little bit of a bump there, isn't it? Oh, great. Oh, it went green. And what you can do is go across in small stages across highways, and it can be a little bit tricky. Get across like that, then you can just zap down Q, come back. Although I don't like the slope to be too steep, so we can put that bridge in there. Accept that. That ensures that we've got the ability to come out here. And so I wasn't really planning on building that bridge, but we might as well plan it in, even if we don't actually get round to building it. What was I doing? Oh yeah, we're putting in a small water well. It means we can tuck the water well just in there. Now, wells need a pump to push the water to that position there. One of the things that really annoys me with pumps, they don't actually tell you what the capacity is, but I tend, when I'm setting up what you could call the upstream infrastructure, I always like to go for the big pumps, because you can always add extra pump lines in. So like for that, and then you can break them out like that. Then of course what we're going to have to do is put another pump in. Now you can pump up into a water tower, but to be honest, I don't find that particularly very efficient when you're building a fairly large town. I'd like to have the option of being able to kind of control things, and we're just connect that, and then we're connecting. Is that on the center one? Just check. Yep. And we're just going to put that to there. And just get rid of that. So what we've got now is the potential for our initial water supply coming into the center of the town and getting things lined up. We've got a fire station, we've got our initial residences planned, we've got some education planned as well. Well, of course, what we're going to need to do is spend some time building the roads here. Now, things like police stations and courthouses, I always tend to put on the periphery of the town. I know instinctively you should put them in the centre, but to be honest, that they don't need that much in the way of workforce, and you can plan a workforce around them. And of course, this town's going to expand, so there's no point worrying too much about putting police stations and things like that in the centre, unless it's for aesthetic purposes. What you really need in the centre is the key buildings that are going to drive your economy. Anyway, this is where I'm going to leave it. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Hope you found it interesting. What I will do off camera is upgrade some of these final roads into gravel roads, so that because the next project we're going to need to do is start building in the roads here. I don't want to run the city with gravel. But until next time, whatever you do, enjoy your gaming.